While Seietsu was the master of Engaku and Kamakura, he required larger quarters, since those in which he was teaching were overcrowded. Umaza Seibe, a merchant of Edo, decided to donate 500 pieces of gold, called ryo, toward the construction of a more commodious school. This money he brought to the teacher. Seietsu said, "All right, I will take it." Umaza gave Seietsu the sack of gold, but he was dissatisfied with the attitude of the teacher. One might live a whole year on 3 ryo, and the merchant had not even been thanked for 500. "In the sack are 500 ryo, hinted Umaza. "You told me that before," replied Seietsu. "Even if I am a wealthy merchant, 500 ryo is a lot of money," said Umaza. "Do you want me to thank you for it?" asked Seietsu. "You ought to," replied Umaza. "Why should I?" inquired Seietsu. "The giver should be thankful."
There is nothing like money to show how we love. If you really want to see how you love, which most people don't, you can see it through money. How we deal with money, how we give our money, our unconscionable generosity or the lack thereof has a great deal to do with the meaning of our life. Now, I'm not saying this to you because I want you to feel bad, but I want you to understand in the story that we're going to look at today in Zen on the sound of one hand clapping, it is about a very interesting conversation between a master and a very rich man. What was it Jesus said? It is impossible that those who trust in riches can enter the kingdom of heaven. It would be easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Why? When all of you want to be rich. I mean, if it's about one door, enlightenment, and the other door, all the wealth you've ever wanted in your life, which door do you go through? Duh, door number 2. People don't want to awaken, and they never question their love. They only want to be wealthy and rich so they can do the things they want to do. It's all about what I want. There is something about money that becomes so important to people that it becomes the pseudo way in which they love. In fact, they believe that money is love and that the only way to love is through money. But the sad aspect of it is that the people that I know who are great with wealth have no ability to love anymore. They've given it up. They like to accumulate wealth, and then the power that they enjoy of distributing their money to people they quote unquote love, while they secretly on the inside, like a puppet master, are enjoying everything that is going on and how people are bowing down to them and doing all sorts of things to get the money. Money is not love. You can't buy me love. I think the Beatles said that, eh? What wisdom there was in all of that. Every master has warned us about excessive wealth, unconscionable wealth. And the real question of giving comes into play here. I always tell women when I'm counseling with them and they're maybe, thinking about marrying somebody, they'll say, "How do I know he's the right person?" If you have to ask me that, then obviously they don't know. But I always tell them, take a look at the tip that the guy gives to the waitress, because one day you're going to get that tip. People think in terms of what is fair. They don't think about what to give and even the generosity that goes behind it. They're only thinking about how little can I give and get away with it and make it look as though I'm extremely generous. Let me give you a little key here. Would you give to me that which you believe you need more than I do? That's the real test of love and whether or not you're a generous person. Generosity is the fragrance of a person who is blooming in consciousness, who is growing, who is becoming more and more aware. In our story, the Zen master needed bigger facilities. So this merchant, who was very, very wealthy, decides that he is going to do something. He is going to overcome his fear of death with money, and that's what people do. They try to hide and mask their fear of death and their lack of love through money. So he comes to the Zen master and he hands him a bag full of money. The master looked at him and looked at the bag and said, "All right, I'll take it." Everyone is aghast at this. My God, what do you mean you're going to take it? Well, the man went away, the rich merchant went away, and he was a little disturbed by the way the master did this. It started bugging him, so he went back to the master a few days later. And he said to the master, in that bag was enough money for you to live almost 2 or 3 lifetimes. And the master looked at him and he said, "Oh, do you think I should have thanked you for the money?" And the merchant looked at him and said, "Well, yeah, I think from that amount of money that I've just given you, yeah, I think you ought to." And the master looked at him and said, "It is the giver that should be grateful." Makes no sense at all. And the merchant, I'm sure, had no understanding of what that was all about. I'm going to try to explain a little bit of this to you, but I want to set it up for you. I want you to understand your concern over money has become more important to you than the state of your being, even the state of your karma. And because most people do not understand karma and don't care to understand it, and think that if you have money, then all of your difficulties and all of your woes go away, you miss what's at hand here. In our culture, in our society, it's all about he who has the most money is the most comfortable, the most powerful, and will be the happiest, but that's not true. The real truth of the matter is he who has the most money has the responsibility to deal with it in the most loving way possible. This man, this merchant, didn't give the money. He really didn't. What he was doing is trying to, make it look as though that maybe, possibly, he could beat death. He could beat some kind of fear he had inside of himself for death. And that is why it was so difficult for him to give the money. Money. What is it all about? It's about me. It's about my relationship with love. If I don't have a relationship with love, I can't give money. If I don't have a relationship with love, I have only money. And that's it, and how it manipulates people. And that manipulation creates karma. As I said earlier, and as I started out this discourse, you can always tell a person's relationship to love in how they give, the way they give, not how much they give, but that plays into it too. When the master took the money, he said, "All right, I'll take it." Do you really realize what he was saying? Why was the merchant giving the money? He wanted to be seen of men, as it were. He thought, well, maybe if I do this good deed, because he felt guilty about how much money he had, maybe, I'll find some virtue after death, or I will be given maybe a life where there isn't any death. There's all sorts of fantasies that go on in people's minds. He didn't give the money for the merit of the project. He gave the money to be seen. He wanted people to know how much he was giving. He had a whole audience there when he did it. This is why the master paused for a moment. He realized something. The man had given him the money in secret and said, "I don't want anyone to know. This is for you, to help with your work." That is a gift given from love. But because this merchant, being very wealthy and giving only a fraction of what he really could have given, gave it in public, told the master everything about what the gift was really all about. I've had these gifts too, so I understand them well. What was it really all about? It was really the show, trying to gain merit, trying to gain respect from people around. And when the master hesitated, he realized something that most teachers don't understand. When you take a blood gift, as I call this, you take on the karma of it as well. So when the master looked at him and said, "All right, I'll take it," he was taking on a lot of things. He was going to convert the energy of this man's greediness and fear, this man's selfishness and pride, and put it into the ashram, put it into his zendo, and create a very beautiful place for people to study and work and meditate. He was going to convert it, and that takes a lot of energy. People don't realize about karma. And you know, most people think in terms of good karma and bad karma. Karma is karma. I have my karma, you have yours. And it's all predicated on the love that I feel within me. If I feel no love, I have a great deal of karma in everything that I do towards the sense of being generous and kind towards people, let's say, that I don't know, as well as those that I do know. All of these things have a way of bringing about energy into my life, energy that's going to play out as my life eventually. And we just don't really want to understand that. The master was willing to convert the karma of this money, this blood money, into something loving and kind that would serve humankind. I have always felt that way about Aspire. That's the way I've felt about my own work. I truly understand this. But the thing that is most important for you to understand in all of this, it is that the giver should be grateful. Here's the question. Would you give to me that which you think you need more than I do? And if your answer is I doubt it or no, then you can know that your relationship with love needs a lot of inner work. Being able to give, to fall into harmony with life, to give not because you should or better, but simply because you're there, you can. This is something that breaks the logic and reasoning of people's thinking. Love breaks the logic and reasoning of our minds, which are very petty, always just doling out little bits of money, little bits of kindness, little bits of compassion, sympathy, always hoarding back the major feel of love because we're afraid to give love. And the reason is because our ego, we are bound by our ego. It is our ego that determines who we are and what we are. And because we have decided that we are going to be ego, we are going to be this thing called Greg, or this thing called Mary or Sally or Bob or Sam, that those are going to be the guidelines, those egotistical guidelines that I am going to love and share and give in. I know people who tell me how loving they are. They tell me how they love. Of course they don't, because if you have to tell me how loving you are, you know and I know that that's not true. But they're always telling me how generous they are. And yet I have noticed that these people can't be generous in little moments. What are those little moments? Let me give you a few. Whoever's before you is within you. Give them your attention. What is ever happening around you is happening to show you your lack of love and maybe how to accentuate love as a possibility of more compassion. Whatever is happening needs your compassion. Compassion is the antidote to karma. It is the antidote to my selfishness, my pride, my greed, my vanity. And it allows me to look at life from a different perspective. Rather than saying to myself, this is what I own, this is what I have, this is what I want, I am looking at life from the point of view, this is what I am. I am this love. And giving to you only increases my love, only blesses it. Do you remember the story of the woman, the amazing woman who found a man. He was coming to her from a wilderness point of view. He had been struggling and he had no money, no food, no anything. And she opened up her bag and she said, "You can have anything in the bag." And there he saw a priceless stone. He took it. She said, "You are more than welcome to it." The stone would have given him more than enough money for a lifetime. He looked at her as he held the stone and realized how valuable it was. And he said, "I'm going to give it back to you because it's more important that I understand what it is within you that allowed you to give me that stone." We'll be right back. Well, we're here at the Yukoji Zen Mountain Center, and I'm here with their beautiful Roshi Tenshin. One of the stories in Zen Flesh, Zen Bones is about the master who receives a very large amount of money from a guy in town.
It's a great story.
It's a it's a cuckoo story that I love. And I've seen it with my students giving gifts, to support the program while we're here.
Yeah.
Tell me about the story, how you feel about it.
Well, there's facets to it, and the main one, obviously, is that we all like to be appreciated for what we give. But
and the more we give, the more appreciation we should get, huh?
Of course, all gifts.
Yeah. Right.
yeah. Or gifts of appreciation. But the other aspect is that whoever we give to is also giving us an opportunity to serve. And I think as human beings, deep down, we like to do that. We like to be of service, of use, that our money's going to good things. So obviously that part has to be acknowledged. And obviously this particular person wasn't seeing that part. The Zen master in this case was seeing that aspect. Yeah. Let
me throw out this to you. In taking the money, wasn't he also taking on some of the karma?
Maybe he does. We don't hear that part.
Obviously, don't. Why would he say?
It depends on how he got the money.
Right.
In the first
merchant.
Place. Yeah. And obviously, if you receive something from ill-gotten gains, people will come looking for it, and that's karma. The main aspect of karma that I would look at, though, is how does it really feel at this moment in time? Is it truly given? Because some people give things and they don't really give it.
That's what I wanted to go into, and that's perfect. They look like they're giving, but they're not really giving.
Yeah.
And they only know it basically after they've given the gift. They go, whoops, and it's too late. The gift is gone.
Yeah.
And I think the master is kind of saying to the guy, all right, I'll teach you this lesson about giving.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I'll give you this chance.
Yeah.
But I don't think it broadened him. I don't think he got it in the story.
No, of course we don't know that.
Right.
The Zen master's the star. In that
case. Always the star. Yeah, they don't. Yeah. I find it fascinating when people give. Do you remember your first real gift? Real gift.
You mean that somebody gave to me or I gave to?
You gave to someone else.
Yeah, I brought my mother a wheelbarrow full of snow when I was about 4. And I thought it was the most amazing thing. I'd never seen it before.
A wheelbarrow of snow?
Of snow, yeah. And I wheeled it all the way back thinking it was this great gift. And I see the same thing in my son. He'll give me something like a rock. And it's the most amazing thing. And it opens my heart, when I see that. It's not necessarily the amount of the gift or whatever, it's how it's given.
Yeah, it's the way it's given.
Yeah, the appreciation and, this is important to me, and maybe it's difficult or whatever, but here it is, and I give it openly.
What is it in a human being that allows them to give? What is it that doesn't allow them to give too?
Well, I think part of it is and again, it's a general statement, and I'll probably say a different thing on a different day, but usually there's an opening of the self, the world's not just about me, this is the self too, all of these other parts, and it's like just, giving from one hand to the other. And this part needs it right now. So, you know, take it. Some part I might need it, but here, you need it. Take
Right.
it. Yeah.
Would I give you that which I seem to need more than you do?
Yeah.
That's the real question. Would I do that? And to me, that's really what it's all about when I think in terms of giving to you, giving you my attention, just
Yeah.
sitting here with you.
And that's important. I mean, how many people now give you full attention? It's a great gift.
Only
Yeah.
if they think there's something in it for them, and typically, not always, but typically. And they're always looking at why you would give to them. I find people are very suspicious of being kind.
Yeah. It's an odd thing, isn't
It
it?
is.
Yeah.
It's odd if
yeah.
you're kind.
Yeah.
While I was coming here, a lady dropped her, getting off the airplane, dropped her coat. And I gave it, I said, "Madam, you left it."
Yeah.
I picked it up, and she gave it to me. And she looked at me, and she says, "I'm so clumsy."
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
She just dropped her coat. And I looked at her, I said, "No, you just dropped your coat."
Yeah.
That was it. Nothing more,
Yeah.
nothing less. And she said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." I just think people are uncomfortable with receiving, much less giving.
Yeah.
I think they really have a difficult time with it. And yet I find meditation nothing but giving and receiving.
Yeah. Definitely.
We're out of here. Thank
Okay.
you for your beautiful.
Thank you.
I appreciate you very much. We'll be right back. Don't go away, please. I love the interview with Tension. I thought he really gets it. He understands this money thing that students have and how they can't drop it. They're so worried about their money, their money, their money. Listen, it's all about love. And if your love isn't about what's going on within you, if it isn't coming out of you in the form of your kindness, your compassion, your willingness, your generosity, do you ever question your generosity? I hardly doubt it. A lot of you look at yourself and hoard your money or think of yourself as being modest and can't give anything, but you could. But you just don't because you never question your generosity and say, maybe I should look at my generosity, the factor of my generosity. Does it play a role in my life? Oh, yeah, it does. Plays a huge role in our lives. It's how we deal with our karma. It's how we heal all those things inside of us that we think don't exist inside of us. Your generosity, your kindness is what meets another person, a stranger or whoever, helps humankind in so many different ways. And in that kind of kindness, you are hearing the sound of one hand clapping. Everything is about that sound, that no thing. And hearing it, listening to it, responding to it, allowing it to move me and motivate me to go into directions in my life that my stingy fear wouldn't let me do is a very honorable thing. People aren't noble much anymore. We don't even consider the nobleness of a spiritual practice or the nobleness of what it means to give anymore. We give only to those people we like. What do people have to do for you to get them to make you think, oh, well, you're deserving of what I have to give to you? What kind of hoops do people have to jump through to have your generosity? Quasi-generosity. I think if you look at it, you'll be very humbled and you will realize, my God, I didn't give much in my life. I didn't share much of myself. I know not what I do. It's a very sad and pathetic thing, this thing of giving. I watch people day in and day out yield, even driving. People can't even yield to each other, which is a form of giving. We have great difficulty. That thing that is right about here in your car called a rear view mirror, that can be one of the most generous gifts in the world by looking behind you and realizing what you are doing to them that are behind you while you are sitting there driving your little car thinking there's only you in this world. I find it very interesting about people. They don't have a broader scope of their life. Would you give to me that which you believe you need more than I do? It's the biggest question you'll ever ask yourself about the love that lives within you. Hey, come to the website at aspire.org. If these discourses on Zen, on the sound of one hand clapping, have meant anything to you. You can get the 4 CD set if you want, with 8 different discourses, all of the ones that I have given to you in this series. Only I went into the studio and really gave it a little more time, a little more effort, a little more detail than what I can do here on TV, and I think you'll find them very helpful. And while you're there, take a look at my retreats, my workshops, the things that I offer to you that take a very generous spirit. You see, to come to a retreat or a workshop or to prepare yourself for meditation, you have to be a very generous person. You can't be looking at your life going, I don't want to be questioned. I don't want anything in my life questioned. I don't want to have to look at anything unpleasant. Part of being generous is being so kind with yourself that you might look at the parts of yourself that generally you try to cover up in many different ways, just because to see them is to understand where you might be in the course of your lifetime. I think a spiritual practice is a very interesting thing. I think Tension did a wonderful job talking about giving and how we freak out at the idea of money. Money is going to be an issue in our world for a long time to come. This is why Jesus talked about it too, that a rich man won't enter the kingdom of heaven. What he was talking about is that that person who puts money ahead of love can never go within themselves and find the kingdom of heaven that lives within them. He was right. How much would you pay to go within yourself? Would you give everything you have for one moment of love in your life? One moment of authenticity, one moment of compassion, one moment to change your karma completely? Could you give a gift that your ego would say, if you give this gift, you're going to be killing me? Could you give that kind of gift? If you can, if you're of that ilk, you're ready for a spiritual practice. Come to a workshop. Come to a retreat. Be with me. I think you're going to find something unique being born in you. There is more within you than you might believe. And when you're not hoarding your money, your time, your effort, and the things you want and believe in, when you're not trying to make something happen that can't happen through money, then you're doing something really noble. The nobility of your life is contained in the generosity of your heart. And that's why people are afraid to give, because their hearts want to give it all for the sake of a love that is greater than their thinking, greater than their philosophy. Thank you for allowing me to be with you. Please forgive me. Namaste. I love dogs. Dogs are everything. I have one at home that I miss very much. She's that big and she's that tall and she's got these big, beautiful eyes, and she looks at you and goes, Kiki, I love you. Let's talk about Shredder. What a mess.
Stop. Try again.